YouTube, how's it going? The GOAT House is back after that wild Monday night football game between the Lions and the Packers. The talk of today, Tuesday, heading into Week 7. I think this will be the talk heading well into Week 7 as well. And I think the officiating will be very well monitored by the viewers this week because of this game. So I wanted to give my thoughts mainly. We'll take a look at some of the replays. For the most part, people seen that. So it's mainly about my thoughts here on the game. I figured people would want to hear and see this. So I thought, why not? Before we get started, 40K is our subscriber goal. Please help us get there. Support's been awesome. We're getting closer. Full NFL and college football content in season and in the off season as well. But in season here, we got updated power rankings, recaps, predictions, score predictions, all kinds of content. Also more on our Patreon as well. Link in the description. You can help support the channel and get a lot more content by checking that out. Click that like button. Check us out on Twitter for constant NFL talk. Here's my important takeaways. These are very important. I'm going to break these down. Number one, I actually think that the Packers are the better team. R is the key word. I think they are the better team than the Lions. You know, they had key injuries. They had turnovers that maybe wouldn't happen normally in a game for the Packers versus the Lions or the Packers versus the field. I think they're the better team. That's a think is another key word. You know, I'm assuming they're the better team. Number two, which kind of then goes into number three, calls were one-sided, I thought, and that was pretty obvious. There's a lot of build-up. There's key ones that we're all talking about. But, over time, you look at the game, you look at all these calls and what the refs are looking for and missing on the other side, which made it one-sided, and that concerns me. Some calls, I think, are just mistakes, dumb mistakes by the refs, but some you think they're pretty obvious, pretty blatant. Refs can't be that bad, that dumb, I should say, and make that mistake. So it's a little sketchy. And I was already concerned. I think last year's where it really started, then this year with the new rule and some bad calls. I was already concerned, and now I'm more concerned going forward. What are they going to do? Is there going to be any makeup calls? Or, is a team going to be punished? The Packers going to be punished because they got some calls here in this game? I don't think so, but that could be the case. It makes you think, and it makes you enjoy the rest of the year less. And, I guess it depends on what happens. But I'm concerned going forward like everyone else. Number three, and it's kind of, I don't want people to overreact from number one. Number three, I think the Lions were the better team in this game. They were the better team and for sure earned the win. The Lions did enough to win this game. They outplayed the Packers. The Lions outplayed the Packers. Maybe it wasn't by a lot, but the way I look at it, the Lions lose by 1 point on top of the Packers kind of getting gifted penalties, and they still only lost by 1 point. But kind of going back, I don't want to sound like I just think the Lions are a million times better. No, I actually think the Packers are the better team at the end of the day, end of the year, if I'm predicting. But in this game, the Lions really should have won it. They earned it. They played better. They outplayed the Packers in this game. But number four is key here because for the most part, I even see Packers fans on board with everything I've said. Everyone else has said, the officiating was bad. But there's a lot of people out there saying that the refs, that's a small part of it. The Lions should have executed and scored more touchdowns over field goals. And I see the point, and I kind of agree, but I think they are missing the big picture here, and they're trying to find an excuse, something to cover up, what happened in this game because, they could have executed and played better for touchdowns and gotten touchdowns over field goals. There's a lot of field goals when they had opportunities, but field goals are part of the game. They're points. People use field goals to win games. We see it every single week. You can win off only field goals. When you play the Packers, you're going to have to do more, which I thought the Lions did enough. They did more. You can't expect a team to score touchdowns on every single opportunity. Just because they may get screwed over by officiating down the line. It's a little ridiculous to think that way. So basically those people that are saying that, you're asking the Lions to go out, just blow the Packers out, just to dominate, just put up an insane amount of points, just so they're comfortable when the refs come to play. A little ridiculous. I even was talking about last night that, the Lions should have executed better and scored more touchdowns. The more I kind of slept on it and thought about it, it's ridiculous to expect more. I mean, you want more, but it's ridiculous to think they have to get more to win this game. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, and we'll take a look at some of the clips here. Before actually I do that, I do kind of going into number four. I do want to credit the Packers defense. When the Lions were knocking on the door, they held in the field goal. So I do have to credit the Packers that way. But another thing, we're going to take a look at three penalties. The head-to-head, we'll call it, on Tracy Walker and the 2 on Trey Flowers. I know there was more calls, quite a few more calls or non-calls in this game, but those we kind of seen throughout the year. Like, those were the bad calls, staying consistent to the bad calls throughout the year. So I thought they were just bad mistakes by the refs. But these ones take another step. Like the pass interference that people were complaining that they missed, I thought it was pass interference too. Well, we've seen that plenty of times. There was multiple like that. You can say, yeah, the gift went to the Packers, but we've seen that throughout the year, quite a few times. So I just want to focus on these main 3. But as I say that, it seems like those happen to be when those come up, they happen to be in Packers games. They do lead the league in yardage off other teams' penalties with a whopping 501 yards. So the Packers gained 501 yards off other teams' penalties. That's a little alarming. That's a little alarming. So that's something else. But we're going to take a look at some of this footage, just some things I wanted to point out, and actually marked this all up, but of course it somehow didn't save. But we can go over it here. That's the Tracy Walker hit live, and I don't agree with this one at all. And everybody knows pretty much. You see Tracy Walker's making a play on the ball. His hands are out, and he doesn't try to hit him in the head. The receiver is also, we're gonna see it a few times. Receiver, which is Geronimo Allison, also is going down to catch the ball. It's football. It's what happens. And you see Tracy Walker. He's got his hands out like he's going to catch the ball. And then last second, he puts his head down, so the back of his head is actually what hits the face mask of Geronimo Allison. Hope Allison's okay. I know it could be a concussion. You don't like to see that, but it's a football play. And we'll see it in slow motion one more time. Everything's in, if you played football, you know how fast it is. You know how fast these guys are. These guys are ridiculous. They're in the NFL for a reason. And for him to try to duck his head last second, too, is something, too. He's not leaning with the crown of the head. He didn't hit him. He didn't spear him with the crown of the head. He's making a play on the ball. It's an absolutely terrible call. And it is so fast where maybe the refs just thought, maybe it was vicious. But, I just absolutely, I hate that call. And here's the first hands to the face by Trey Flowers. And my favorite part is watch the ref at the top of your screen and watch Rodgers. Watch Rodgers. All right, he's down. All right, now go look at that ref. He just put his hand in his pocket right now. And he's going to casually and you see the other ref come in and try to stop the play's over. Play's over, folks, but here goes the flag. We're throwing it at the sack. This is going to land right under Rodgers, too. We're throwing it at the sack, and he's kind of just looking away as he does it, too. So, to me, that's the worst part, to me. That's what no one's talking about, and that's what makes it concerning and kind of sketchy to me, how the ref went about that and how it happened. And we see the replay. We're going to see it a few times. Everyone's already seen it. And, the first thing you're looking for was their hands to the face, and there wasn't. Great play by Trey Flowers, one of the better left tackles in football, catching him off balance, and he really bullied him on that play. That's a win for Trey Flowers, helped get the sack. We're going to take a look at it again because something else I noticed, before or after last night, just when I was breaking this down, looking at this, look at Bakhtiari's hands. They're on Trey Flowers' face. Trey Flowers has to make a strong move with his hand there to get it off of his face. So maybe he hurt himself by making a good move. Maybe he should have shown the ref that. No, at the end of the day, I think the ref saw it, and that's why it's somewhat sketchy. And here's the next one. And the part that makes it the most sketchy is how this ref went about it. That gets to me. No one's talking about it. Maybe that's only me, but that's why I threw that in there. But here's the second one, and the NFL admitted that the second one shouldn't have been called, and that's where I have an even bigger problem. There's more problems getting added to it. On top of it shouldn't have been a flag either time on Flowers, and here we see it. He's getting blocked in the back first of all. He's getting held by Bakhtiari. When I saw it live, I'm looking, all right, the flag is for holding, and that's not what it ended up being. So, it's crazy. But on top of, not being hands to the face, on top of Bakhtiari actually putting his hands, and you see this one, maybe his knuckles were on Bakhtiari's chin strap. So maybe I'm okay with this one, but at the same time, there's shots of Elgin Jenkins he has his hands to the face and plays in some guys, and he's getting blocked in the back here. He's getting held by Bakhtiari. So I'm good with the no call on both sides in this one. It could be a penalty on both. But the topper is that the NFL admitted to this one being the wrong call, but the first one is the alarming one. The first hands to the face is the absolutely alarming one because it clearly wasn't. Bakhtiari clearly did hands to the face. He should have been called for hands to the face, and Trey Flowers was, and just the way the ref went about it. So, and then there's my takeaways again. I wanted to make all this clear. Just Just so we're clear here. Just so we're clear. And I think this is crystal. And, some things that I couldn't fit in there that, I do credit the Packers defense. You got to credit the Packers on offense, too. Rodgers made some great throws. Marquez Valdes-Scantling was clutch at times. Jamal Williams stepped up. Aaron Jones was struggling a little bit. He had to, a lot of things went against the Packers in terms of they beat themselves, but in terms of the way the game is played, and the refs stepped in there and kind of helped them out. It's kind of, it's just hurting the game of football. It almost feels like the refs have more power than the players themselves, and that's what sucks. But that was pretty much all I wanted to break down there. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the game, what you thought. That number 4 came to me today. Number 4, takeaway I had, because there are some people out there that are saying that the refs really, it wasn't good, but the Lions mainly lost because they couldn't go out there and score touchdowns every time. But I said that yesterday too. I said that was part of it. But I'm almost saying myself, I was wrong, because you can really, field goals are a part of the game. They're points, they're worth something. People kick them for a reason. You can win games off field goals. You can't sit there and game plan to go for it on 4th down or score touchdowns, every time. You don't know the situation of the game, just because you may get screwed down the line by officiating. It's absolutely ridiculous to think that way. Nobody really should be thinking. You can think it. Lions could have scored more touchdowns than field goals, but you can't sit here and say that's the number one reason why the Lions lost. Most definitely not. You cannot say that. So that's kind of my thoughts on the game. To talk about it in a football way, which the refs already ruined. Who do I think played well? We kind of talk about the Packers side. I like Kevin King, so I think Kevin King's been having a really good year for the Packers corner. And they missed Savage as well. They missed Devontae Adams, obviously. We saw early in the game, the Lions had a good deep ball, and I think the reason being was Savage was out. I thought they took advantage of that. So that's why I kind of think the Packers could be the better team, because they wouldn't make those mistakes, and they would have guys back. And, could be wrong. It's just kind of a prediction, kind of an assumption there. But what I do know is the Lions should have won this game, and they definitely played better in this game, and they were away on top of it. Think about that. The Lions, if I had to critique something about the way they went about things in offense, I thought they ran the ball straight up the gut, straight up the middle a little too much. I think, the Packers got a good defense, obviously, but I think you can beat them on the outside, up the middle. Kenny Clark being maybe the best nose tackle in football. And they got some studs up there. You go outside a little bit. You go outside. I know Kerryon Johnson isn't the greatest outside, but he's good. I like Kerryon Johnson. I thought Stafford was good. He could have done a little more down the line. Something that I did not like at all from him, it was a 3rd down in the second half, and it was right before the fumbled punt. The fumbled punt from the Packers. The Lions had to eventually punt the ball. It was right before then. It was a 3rd down, and the Packers were showing all-out blitz, and they only had a single high safety, which I think they were doing a lot because Savage was out. Savage would be back there, actually, is what I should say. And it was a clear adjustment. I can see it. A lot of people can see it that they were. I know they could be showing blitz. Maybe they don't have to actually blitz. But he has to make an adjustment at the line. I think double slants would have worked perfectly. I just don't know how he didn't see that, and how he makes 0 adjustments. You can make a fake adjustment to throw off the guys that are showing blitz, to let them know you see them. So that kind of alarmed me. But other than that, just to kind of nitpick, that is concerning actually going forward. Playing against better defenses, but. Other than that, I thought Stafford looked pretty good. Looked a lot better, like moving in and around outside the pocket, which we rarely see, from him. So that was good. But it's just a tough loss. I love the receiver duo of the Lions. Justin Coleman had another ridiculous game. Jared Davis seemed like he was flying around. And then for the Packers, I'm back and forth here. Going for the Packers, Darius Smith really showed up again. I like his game a lot. Jamal Williams, I mentioned him. He really stepped up. Aaron Jones, something I noticed over time this year, Aaron Jones kind of getting off balance a lot. I think that's what happened on the fumble. We've seen him fall down trying to catch the ball, seen him kind of wobbly when running the ball, and I've noticed that a few times this year, and kind of thinking, when did I notice that? Home games and the first game of the year at Soldier Field. That's a grass field. That's not the 100% best condition at the time. Soldier's never in the best condition. And then we see him against the Cowboys, and he looks electric. He looks fast. Looks like one of the best running backs in football. And I know most people and anybody that played on both grass and turf, you feel a little more athletic on turf. You feel better. You feel faster on turf. But I think there's a big gap. There's a big difference I've noticed, and that's I'm putting two and two together there with what I've noticed from him over the years, or over the weeks, I should say, this year. And that's kind of what I'm putting together. So we'll see how that turns out. But he looked phenomenal against the Cowboys. Absolutely lights out. Looked like an insane amount faster. So we'll see. Good to see Jamal Williams getting going. He hasn't really got going either this year, but we can see the Packers need Adams back. They need even another receiver. I think they need another one. I think they need a big three between Adams, Scantling, and they need another one. St. Brown's been out, but I don't know if that's the answer either. And they need Savage back, on the defensive side to help things out. So two very good teams. And another thing is, people try to, I do my power rankings and they think the Lions shouldn't drop that much, but I got other teams that won too. They need to go up, and I don't know if they expect me to drop the Packers when they won the game. Like, the Packers didn't decide. It's not call your own foul. It's not pick up basketball. They're not the one punishing the Lions, so why should they get punished? It's ridiculous if you think that. I don't know if anybody does. It kind of sounds like that, but nobody should be punished here. I sit here and wonder if the officiating not only will the officiating keep up, but will the Lions get makeup calls? Will the Packers get, makeup calls against them? How will that affect the teams they're playing? Who's going to get a free win out of it? Who's going to get an automatic loss out of it? How will that affect this division? So they're creating a mess. They're creating a mess, and makeup calls are a thing. They're a thing, and not in the same game always. We've seen it. I've seen it for many, many years. I know officiating started being really bad last year, in my opinion, but I've seen makeup calls every single year I watch football, and they continue on. So we'll see what kind of mess they create after this. We'll see what is done. It sucks, but it almost needs to be done right here. They costed the Lions. It's done. Let's play out. Let's make it fair the rest of the year. But they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that, and that's where my problem is. So that was my thoughts. Hopefully I didn't miss anything there. A lot going on here. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. We recently uploaded updated power rankings, so that's up there. Straight up picks with the Goat House boys coming tonight. So I've got score predictions coming tomorrow, which is Wednesday. Plenty more on the Patreon too. Trying to get things updated on there. Every week I update playoff predictions and NFL mock drafts. A little behind on this week, but they will get there eventually this week and every week. Junior score predictions will be there at some point this week as well. So a lot going on here at the Goat House. Appreciate your guys' support. Thanks for watching this video. Goodbye.